This might be one of the best shows ever today because I'm going to be talking about a couple of things. First of all, is a kind of a psychological, kind of a collective scrum that we're dealing with. But also, a couple of things. I did a drop of a video on Bobby Kennedy and fluoride, and why people have taken these adherents to fluoride. They want fluoride in the water, and they don't even know what fluoride does. Why are you talking about it? The history of it goes back to the John Birch Society, and a lot of European countries do not allow fluoride as an additive for systemic. Coating your teeth is one thing, with toothpaste. But anyway, it's a fascinating take again on what do I tell you all the time, children? Psychology. It's the psychology. We'll talk about that. Also, I couldn't take it this morning. Certain things drive me nuts because I'm petty. First of all, I think she's great, wonderful. But when Candace Owens does street and stuff and the ST sounds and Manhattan and what's happened Manhattan and it's not just her with the Manhattan. I don't know where this came from. Did you put a button on? This. Then I was watching this video. It was my good friend John Kiriakou, and that CIA dude with the hair. He's got the beret or the headband. He got the hair. He's a former CIA, and they were talking about stuff. He says, "Well, let's use Occam's razor," and I can't stand this anymore. I said Occam's razor doesn't say pick the simplest. It doesn't mean that the simplest is the answer. It doesn't say that. How about Hickham's dictum? That's the one I like. So I did one, and if you're a member of Lionel Nation, you can hook up right now, and you can sign up right now, and you'll get this about noon today. It's beauteous. Again, it's these things that we get lazy. We just say these things repeatedly, and we don't know what we're talking about. And I also want to say something. There's a lot that's going on. Some very, 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 very serious stuff that's really important. Every now and then, I've got to do this as a prefatory mention. Every now and then, people will use the word socialist, Marxist, Leninist, communist. He's a Marxist, he's a socialist, and they don't even know what that means. Fascist, Nazi, all these terms, and they think they kind of know what it is, but they don't. There is a word that is being used too much. It applies sometimes, but not always. And that is satanic. And whenever you talk about children, what happens to children, especially predation and the like, they always say it's satanic. It's satanic. Not everything is satanic. It's there, but don't use this as a necessary appendage to any time you use the words or the terms about predation. Don't do that. That's all I'm saying to you, please. It's sloppy. It may work in your particular group, but it's incorrect and it's dangerous. There are people who also, I like this, and we learned this from the Abramovich days. They love to pretend. They're kind of like a performance on Anton LaVey. They'll put a pentagram up, or they're not Satanists. They like to think they are. They like to mimic it. It would be like me holding up a cross and saying, "I'm down a Dominus eat your biscuits." I'm not a Catholic, even though I'm holding up a symbol of the Christ. Even though so precision, focused concern. And we're also going to be talking today why the left loves cold-blooded killers. How Carmelo Anthony and Luigi Mangione are now the favorites of the radical left, and why. So it's a very deep topic. It's very, very. It's not for the weak. So please make sure you are subscribed. But first, this important and critical message: are you drowning in debt? Struggling with credit cards or medical bills or personal loans? Well, you're not alone. There's help, real help available right now. National Debt Relief is one of the top-rated debt relief companies in America, helping thousands of individuals like you break free from overwhelming financial burdens. For anyone owing over $10,000, National Debt Relief may be able to reduce that debt by up to half or even more. No bankruptcy, no new loans, just a smarter, faster way to financial freedom. Here's how it works. Step 1, you submit the form at No Debt with Lionel. Just go there right now. Step 2, a representative will call within minutes to discuss personalized options. In step 3, they'll create an affordable plan tailored to your individual budget and timeline. Many clients become debt-free in as little as 24 to 48 months, paying less than they owe and avoiding years of stress and interest. And the consultation is completely free with no obligation. So what are you waiting for? Why keep dodging calls and watching interest stack up? So go right now to NoDebtWithLionel.com. That's NoDebtWithLionel.com. This could be the turning point, the step toward peace of mind, control, and a fresh start. NoDebtWithLionel.com. Go now. I say this sometimes, and I know I come across as being very priggish, but first I want to say to my dear friend, to our friend, I believe we have 10, dare I say, we have 10 gifts. I think Fred Haddad, thank you so much. Our good friend Big Dick from Chi-Town says, frickin' Splicken. I have no idea what that means. Thank you so much. Raul says, does the twisted support of K&M arouse the left? That's interesting. That's where we're going with this. I want to say this. And by the way, Fred Haddad gifted 10 Lionel Nation memberships. Thank you, Fred. Thank you for that, dear buddy boy. We'll get to this in a moment. And as you know, I like to wade into the subject. I like to find out what are the parameters, what are we talking about, what are we dealing with, and then we'll figure out pretty much after that kind of where we are and how we figure this thing out. I am absolutely so profoundly bored with the tariff situation because we're not going anywhere with that. We don't know enough about it. We don't really understand it, and it's turning into if you hate Trump, all of a sudden people are interested in the free market, and it's just so, it is so monumentally, horribly, incredibly disingenuous. I don't even. Plus, somebody really knows what they're talking about, and then you get these people like Patrick Bet David and everybody who comes. He's whatever, and that's fine. There are some people who I don't think, who just for some reason they just don't. I mean, God bless them. They just don't interest me, whatever their subject is. Jordan Peterson, never, ever. He could talk about how great I am, and I wouldn't listen to him. I just, for some reason, if ever there was somebody who just reeks of complete and utter insincerity, it is he. For reasons I don't know. But in any event, dear friends, I ask you to listen carefully. So we're going to be talking about this. Occam's razor. I've got to say this. When somebody mispronunciation. Victor Davis Hanson is just out of control. I have a friend, a dear buddy of mine. We always compete. He says he keeps track. Here we go. He writes. He says, "Thanks for echoing what I've been saying about VDH and Letitia James. Helpful way to remember Victor. Her name is Tish. Letitia, not Letita James. And here are some more: Normalcy, Miranda Devine, Hikem Jeffries. I don't know if he said that. Mispronunciations drive me absolutely nuts. I cannot believe this, but it's true. Anyway, but Occam's razor is not picked the simplest. And I got to tell you something about Hickham's dictum, which I think is the greatest thing in the world. Hickham's dictum stands for the notion that a patient can have as many damn diseases as they want. Life does not mean pick the simplest reason. If a person comes to you with shortness of breath, anxiety, blah, 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 blah. It doesn't mean one thing. I mean, it could be a heart. They think, well, yeah, but oftentimes there's the interplay, and that's why I'm a Hickham's dictum person. I think people think Occam's. By the way, Occam's razor says if you're trying to figure out if you have two possible ways of thinking, don't necessarily go with the particular theory that involves the most extraneous or the most additional, the most. What am I trying to say? Don't go with the one that the thing that the version that has the most assumptions. That doesn't mean that's the answer. That means don't go there. Sometimes there are very, 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 very complicated things. But I digress. Let's go into this. We have right now one of the most interesting cases. We have a young man, this Carmelo Anthony, not the basketball player. Pilgrim says, "My peeps don't understand why I love Trump, and I do." We don't care what people think. We don't ask them for permission for our particular ideology. But believe me, I know how you're feeling. But, there was a time in America when cold-blooded murder was kind of universally condemned. When suspects in brutal killings weren't lionized or turned into celebrities, when raising money for accused killers would have been unthinkable. That time apparently is over, for reasons I don't understand. Enter the case of Carmelo Anthony, and of course Luigi Mangione. Mangione, big eater or glutton is what it means. Two men accused of taking the life of Austin Metcalf in what authorities describe as a senseless, cold-blooded act. And this is an Anthony. And instead of being universally shunned, the accused are now being showered with sympathy, attention, and incredibly money. Money. I think Anthony got maybe over 200 grand, something like that, has been raised for one of the suspects on online fundraisers. Why? And these are being shared and promoted and endorsed by leftist, activists and influencers, and even in the so-called mainstream media. Why? So let's not sugarcoat this, my friends. This is there's something fundamentally broken when a society celebrates the accused before mourning the victim. Okay? We are changing something. Okay? We are changing something. Let me give you a little background. When I was a prosecutor, we had this, I remember I went to a seminar one time on juvenile. Juvenile was this division that people kind of laughed at. It didn't sound like it was that serious, but it was really serious. Because a juvenile division was great for a new prosecutor because you handled felonies. A delinquent act was an act which, when committed by a minor, is called a delinquent act versus a crime. And it was just looked at differently between juvenile and adult. I did this routine one time, a la George Carlin, in the circuit court, adult. It was like the state of Florida or the state of Indiana versus the state of Florida versus United States of America versus. But in juvenile court, it said, in re, in re the interest of John Smith, a child. Oh. In adult court, you were found guilty. You were convicted guilty. You were adjudicated guilty. In juvenile court, you were adjudicated delinquent. You're delinquent. Here's the interesting thing, though. In adult court, you had the right to bail, Eighth Amendment right to bail. But in the juvenile court, you didn't, because this wasn't jail. It was therapy. It was treatment. You're being housed in a juvenile facility. It's not a jail, even though there's razor wire and guards. This isn't. It's to help you. In adult courts, they had prisons. The juvenile, they had a training school. I'll never forget There was a training school in the juvenile system was the worst of 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 the worst. And people scared. It scared them like you cannot believe. And we had this guy, I don't know if you remember this, but in the world of this kind of thing, there's this, how do I say this? There's this, let me see, a place called, one of the best training schools was, I think it was called Marion, or it was Fort Worth. It was not Fort Worth. It was I forget the name of it, but it was in Okeechobee, Lake Okeechobee, which is the Everglades. I mean, but right around there. And this guy came, big pot belly, kind of scared me. And that was the point. And he told these kids, he talked like that. He's a regular old guy who talk like. And people don't think about that Florida. They think of, you think of Palm Beach or something. No, they got these guys up there to find something. They said, now you boys can run away if you want to. We don't have no bars on the mall. We don't have nothing. This. I forget the name of it. I thought it was the worst. Anyway, he said, but if you run, you know what you're going to find? Alligators and moccasins. You ever see a water moccasin? It's a pit viper. They hold a grudge. They get real pissed off. They'll jump out of trees on you. And a water moccasin is the worst. See what they do a lot of times, I remember they showed this, we saw a movie, these kids just listening to this as this guy comes, I think he might have been chewing tobacco. I don't know. But I'll never forget this. He said, now you got to understand something. See, a lot of snakes, their mouth is sterile, see? You got to always feed them live animals, live mice, live. The reason why they do that is because they figure that if that animal's dead, they don't want to get near it. It's probably poisoned. They're not going to eat it. They don't ever eat rotten food. They don't know. Their mouth is as sterile, as clean as a baby, whatever the expression was. But a moccasin, oh no, moccasin will eat anything. Rotten roadkill, doesn't matter. So not only do you get the hemotoxin and the myotoxin and the cytotoxin, but you get tetanus. You get all kinds of nasty infections. They're the worst. They don't look like much, a little thing like that, but they are the worst. Alligators, I don't have to talk to you about that. Skaters, like you can't believe them. Skaters, you have no idea what we're talking about. Then all these other bugs too. We don't even know what the hell they are. So you can run all you want, but you're not going anywhere. There's no place to go. And if you run, we're not going to come get you. So good luck to you. That's training school. That was the end of the line. It was the worst. It was horrible. This was like you really had to go. And then here's the irony. When you went through the juvenile system, you went to adult. And guess what? You start off with probation. You go back. Now you're in there. Now you're a first timer. Your Honor, this is a first timer. It's his first time here in the adult system. All right, give him probation. Had he stayed in the juvenile system before transferring, he'd be, cracking rocks up with the water moccasins. Anyway, it was a thing. But here's the deal. At this same seminar, this was 40 years ago. Then, this one, I don't know what he was, a psychologist or something, he said, in the old days when kids would go out and be delinquents and stuff, they would do things like, I don't know. They would do things like joyride. I had a guy one time who told me that he transferred from New York to like Tampa, like the Carrollwood area. It's kind of a nice area. And he got a call that they were toilet papering. He said, what is toilet paper? He had never heard of it. He goes, in the Bronx, we don't do toilet paper. So he was kind of quaint. And they had joyriding, shoplifting, maybe some criminal mischief, vandalism. Today we have a group of people who are from another planet. They are savages. They are animals. They are... And we're seeing something right now. We are seeing fights. In the old days, there was a fight. Two guys that stand up there, fists, duke it out. Somebody would win or whatever it was. Today, it's body slamming, because it's UFC. Body slamming, choking people out. There are pictures. Go on X and just put in girls fighting. Just girls fighting. And you will see a savagery. One was a girl whose head was hit repeatedly on the street, and this kid was going into some kind of a spasm or seizure. I mean, this is nothing that I don't imagine somebody bringing a knife. You're getting into an argument at a football game, whatever it is, because of seats, and you stab somebody. And what happens is when you take people who have no home, have no life, have no dreams, much like Pilgrim Media. Just kidding. Worst repeat offenders are not afraid of any jail. Well, also, yes, they don't, but you're right, but they don't appreciate consequence. It's not that they're not afraid. They don't appreciate consequence. When I tell you, this is where the psychopath comes in. When I tell you, if you do this, I'm going to put you in jail. We had a guy in juvie. This might have been your time years ago. Judge Calhoun. Oh, I'll never forget one time Judge Calhoun said, this guy was, one time he said, well, break it off in you. I mean, this guy was wild. His hair was always he was real tough. Kids were so, oh my God, terrified of him. And one time he did this thing where he said, I'll never forget this. We heard this, because some kids scream. He said, what's tomorrow? And people were looking around the room like, what? What's tomorrow? Friday? No. It's the first day of summer vacation, isn't it? Isn't it? Yeah. Huh. And what is summer vacation? What is it? 30 days? What is summer vacation? What, 3 months usually? Something like that? I don't know what it is. 3 months. So he said, well, and there was this kid there who says, I can hold you up to, I think it was up to 6 months, hold you without a hearing. I forget what it was, 6 months, 3 months, whatever it was. After that, you got to have a hearing. But a judge just has discretion, because the kid was mouthing off, to hold the kid in contempt. Make a long story short, he held the kid over the summer vacation. All he was waiting for. And the day before school started, he got out. I'll never forget that. Oh, man. Oh. It was brutal. Then they had things like the boot camps. The boot camps were really something. They had a guy standing up there. He was a former military. I don't know what he was. Drill instructor. Who knows? And they had one kid. And this guard. Now I know a little bit more. I'm always suspect of guards. It's like, you hang around kids? Yeah. Who watches the guards? But I digress. This guy was good. He had like a TI's hat. And all these kids were walking around with their chains and, mouthing off. And they looked. And there was this kid wearing white, crisply, I think he had a tie or whatever. And he was at attention. And they were looking at him. And this one guard was standing there like this. The whoever transported him. And I said, at attention. And you know what the kids loved? The fact that he was showing attention. Why does he get the attention? They didn't say, oh, thank God I don't have this crazy drill instructor giving me a hard time. No. They said something to the effect of, I don't know what the words, but they said something like, wow, he must be special or something. It's weird because they wanted attention. But to make a long story short, they were saying This was 40 years ago. Kids today, these laws don't work. These were written during the time of Fonzie and joyriding, and kids today that we're dealing with, these are demented. These are demented, very dangerous kids today, who, when you say, as Pilgrim said, they don't think. See, if I said to you, if they don't do this, you're going to go, this does, it's like speaking a different language to them. They have no idea what's going on. So now we have this Karmelo. Now, why would he killed one of twins? By the way, when twins are separated tragically, oh my God. We had a case years ago. It was a I guess you want to call it it was a personal injury case. And it was a set of twins, and one lost the thumb in some particular accident. And the problem, when you're trying to assess damages, he lost his thumb. He said, but what the problem was, more than anything else, was now you could tell the two apart. And that meant something that nobody could, but it added a psychological thing. These are twins. Twins are psychically, cosmically connected. So the original question is, why is the radical left so quick to embrace these individuals charged with heinous crimes? What exactly is appealing about two men accused of executing another human being in cold blood? And the answer, I guess, seems to lie in the perverse, maybe political and cultural, incentives that dominate the radical left in their worldview. It's not about justice anymore. It's about narrative, the storyline. It's about identity and power dynamics and using tragedy as some kind of a political or social prop. And in the case of Carmelo and Luigi, the left isn't seeing, two men facing serious allegations. No, they're seeing two potential symbols of victimhood. And in the case of Luigi, kind of like the Robin Hood, standing up against a cruel. This is the family. This is a father and a husband and kids. Nothing. They don't care. They talk about systemic injustice. They talk about a broken system that they insist is to blame for everything from violence to poverty to law enforcement to this nonsense. Make the dream great again, says Candace Owens, pulls out a ballot from missing box and says, frickin' Splitkin. Okay, there you go. You're wild today, and I appreciate that. Now, the narrative now that we're talking about is so incredibly dominant, so scary, that the facts barely seem to matter. Austin Metcalf's life, his future, his family, his grief, all of this is secondary to the progressive script. And in that script, anybody who clashes with the system, no matter how violently they're to be defended and supported and loved and lauded and held and heralded, and it's kind of like this weird apotheosis, this weird thing. Why this kid? Why? How can you do this? How can you justify this? I'm not saying anything about the kid's guilt or whatever. I'm just saying, why would this person be the individual that you believed was or that you focus on? And this is how we end up with fundraising campaigns for accused murderers, and while the victim's family receives nothing but silence from the same activist circles. And this is how we end up also with the sympathetic, profiles of men awaiting trial instead of tough questions about why someone was killed in the first place. And the media play along too often, too long, and they refuse to even publish the most damning details of a case for fear of maybe disrupting the precious narrative. Oh, no, we got it. So let's be clear about something. Due process matters. That's to be sure. I know that better than anybody. Everyone is innocent. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty, right? But raising 6 figures, 200,000, whatever it is, in a matter of days, promoting hashtags that paint the accused as victims of what exactly? Pushing politically driven narratives that, what? that ignore the facts. This isn't just, it's propaganda. And it's dangerous. And it sends a signal to these demented, rudderless young people and kids that violence can be rationalized, that they can be rewarded, that they can be cool, that you can actually live, because many, many people, as you know, are looking for the chance to be special, to be lauded, to be heralded, to be something. They want more than anything else to be famous. And so long as it fits the ideological mold, they're fine with that. And it says also to these kids that accountability is optional if your politics and your demo and identity check the right boxes. And most chilling of all, the scariest, it turns actual victims into inconvenient, footnotes or asterisks, or, these people that just kind of discard it when they don't serve the agenda. Why are we seeing this trend? Why? Is it because the left, the far left, is no longer of the belief that we live in an objective justice society where there's right and wrong? Is that it? Maybe they see the world entirely, I guess, as some kind of weird lens of the oppressor versus the oppressed, or, the system versus the anti-system. I don't know. Their sympathies, to me, it's also probably just a scrum, but their sympathies automatically go to anybody who can be painted as standing up to the system, to the order, regardless of what they actually did. Carmelo and Luigi aren't in any way unique cases at all. They're just the latest example of a pattern. And remember, these are the same people over the week who had rallies all over the country for hands off, and couldn't even tell you what they were, whose hands they wanted off of what. And from celebrated criminals in viral media, and the push for no cash bail for violent offenders. And I mean, the radical left has completely abandoned the principle that crime should have some kind of consequence. And for them to be how they can look at this. You stab somebody for what? What? And this idiot, this Luigi, who tracked this man down, there's more to that than meets the eye. Instead of all this, they're fueling this culture of excuse making, victim blaming, and this weird criminal glorification. And it threatens the moral foundation. I know it sounds like I'm saying this, of our legal system. It's absolutely true. Absolutely 100% true. Was Sheriff Arpaio's jail policy effective at all? Shouldn't be, because those were people who were merely accused. You were presumed innocent. Jail, those people were given pink underwear and rotten bologna, and they weren't found guilty of anything. Why is that effective? I don't know. Why? And you also say that the radical left is doing restorative justice, 1619. Sort of, yeah. That hasn't been forgotten. By the way, that was also the big George Soros thing. And by the way, where is Elon Musk? But I digress. Now, understand something. Being interested in something, I've always been fascinated by serial killers, by the whole notion of the psychology. I don't laud them. I would ever want to get them out or help their defense or anything like that. The way women have found, remember the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, people who get married, and the Menendez brothers and Ted Bundy, and I don't understand that. I don't get any of that. I don't know how that even works. So I know it does work. But I don't. And there's always been, to an extent, society has always had, heroes like, Jesse James or whatever. I understand that. That goes without saying. But what we're talking about here is something even more dangerous. What we're talking about here is something even more dangerous and more problematic. And that is the idea that we are having not only a system that is falling down, but the radical left seem to be anarchic, seem to be detached from any kind of rules of law. And they are, as far as I'm concerned, so incredibly dangerous. And the scrum, the group, and social media create these people. You can watch we're seeing violence that we have people who are lauding, who are promoting, who are in love with people who are the most vile of criminals you can imagine. And I don't know why. And let me go back to this. Joe Rogan, great guy, obviously terrific. But what they do, interestingly enough, what they do is they seem to be a part of this. I don't know what the word is. They seem to be a part of this celebration of fighting, but not like we used to watch, not like Bert Sugar or Howard Cosell would talk about it. This is how to hurt people. It's a celebration of this. It's really scary. It's really important that we're saying, why now are we celebrating violence? Not the art of self-defense, not martial art, one versus another. I mean, even during Bruce Lee, it wasn't violence per se, but now it's chokes and damage and hurting people. And it's not about movies anymore. Why is that? Why? This is, and there's no simple reason. There's no simple reason. Tom Malloy says, I got paddled in elementary school. You should not paddle any child in the school. You should not hit a child in the school. This is not your child. This is not your student. It's not your child. And I don't want some freak teacher getting his rocks off by swatting kids. Overlord writes, Elon Musk launches rockets, operates a satellite communication system, and operates tied to a company Tesla. Oh, why do you need to see him? Overlord, are you suggesting you don't find it interesting that lo and behold, he is nowhere to be found? You don't think his departure from the Trump camp and stable is of interest? You don't think it's interesting at all? None of it? Do you think it's because I want to see him? Is that the way you took it? Do you think that I'm saying, or anybody for the banner says, we want to see him again? Why the departure? What's happened? What does this signal? Do I have to explain this to you? Or is this your attempt at being piquant? I like that. I like that. It's very, very interesting. I like that. Bruce Lee was violent. No, he wasn't. Bruce Lee was not violent. What are you talking about? Do people just write? Do you just write this stuff? Seriously, does anybody think about what they're? You can just write. But does anybody? Why waste your time? Why waste your time? Hang on. Why waste your time living in a blue state? That's why we have stress, so you can live among peers. What? What does that mean? Well, I don't understand. When you're in a blue state, you mean there are no red people, so to speak? I'm so curious about, is there any thought put into this? Just saying. I'm just saying. He is a busy man. He was contributing his free time. Overlord Bar, again, misses the point completely. The question is not, hey, where is he? It's like, do you understand? Is this signaling anything? You couldn't get rid of him with his kid. He was everywhere. And you're saying now, I don't understand this. Pilgrim says, went to 8th grade in North Carolina. They beat us regularly. Is that good? You think public schools should hit kids? Never. I don't think kids should be hit at all. None. You never hit a kid. Nothing. You either send them home, get rid of them, expel them, whatever it is, but hit a kid? No. I love the way we laud the whole, and my old man hit me, and boy, he tanned my hide. Get a switch. It's not good. That's ridiculous. It's just this weird kind of a sadistic fascination. That's not the problem. The problem with kids today is not the fact that they weren't hit. Maybe they were hit too much or whatever it was. I've been hearing this for 40 years. Every time we've talked about this, people always say, well, when the cops would slap you around, and they love this. I love this. Made me a better man. You are not a better man because somebody hit you. No, you're not. Nobody's better because they hit you. You're better. Maybe there's something wrong with you. Maybe you're a bit masochistic. That's not the way to do it. The way to do it is that you don't hit people in society. You can't go into a store. The police officer can't come up and just hit you. You can't even hit somebody on death row. You can't hit somebody who is sentenced to death. But we have this weird kind of pretend love of spare the rod, spoil the child. Misses the point completely. The real problem we have is the way we lionize, and we have this apotheosis of people who are absolutely brutal and dangerous. That's the issue. You see, whenever you talk to people about this, remember something. There is no place, there's got to be, it's not Hickham's dictum or whatever, but there's got to be a rule that says, kind of like Godwin's law, but there is no time or place for any kind of deep thinking in online chat. None. It does not exist. You don't want, you will be so railroaded out. You have to be brutal, loud, angry. That always works. But you will never, ever, ever be applauded for applying something, for saying, I wonder what this is the problem. Do you know what happens when you take a kid, let's say who is, a lot of these kids who have emotional problems or behavioral disabilities or what have you, and you hit them? A kid who's not really, who can't really process everything, or who might be, you hit them? Now, I know people think they're not bad people who say that, but you want to hit a kid who has problems like that? Oh my God. I can't even put into words how dangerous that is. But you see, this is what happens when people don't ever think about stuff. Because they're trying to say, what can I say? Like Patrick Bet David, what can I do on Fox where they will have me back on again? How pro-Trump can I be? So, oh, that's good. Have you ever heard him? You're talking, Bessent is pretty boring, but what he's saying is far more nuanced than that. Nobody wants nuance today. We don't want any of that. That's just the thing. This doesn't matter. We're talking about people who don't have a lot of time to give things. There's no, I don't want to say depth. I keep saying that, but there's no evaluation. And people who don't even understand the notion of a rhetorical question. Like, for example, when I ask, where's Elon Musk? He's busy. Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. Cut Up Chatter says, you're not better for the hitting. You are better for it with guidance you trusted. That could very well be true, but also it's just wrong. It's battery, and this is not your child, and you shouldn't even be hitting your own child. But Make the Dream says they're proud to bring about a culling, whether paid or not, a culling. I don't know what that means, but that's interesting. Thank you. I don't know what that means, but that's very interesting. Very, very, very code. No. This is no. You can't hit people. Hitting people just is. Well, my daddy hit me. Okay, that's great. I turned out all right. Yeah, you are the epitome, the epitome. You are the absolute, the gold standard of rational thinking. What I'm saying is that this society of ours is sick. And we have 75 million people who voted, I think, for Kamala Harris. Think about this. 75 million people who would have been just happy with that retardate at the helm and not President Trump. Think about that one. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for this. I appreciate it today. Let me see. A good friend, Big Dick from Chicago, thank you. Cut Up Chatter, Pilgrim Media, thank you as well. And Raul Rodriguez, thank you for your thoughts and comments. Please watch the videos I did, specifically on Occam's razor. Learn how that works. Learn. It's really interesting, but it's never said correctly. It's always not. And also my piece on Bobby Kennedy and fluoride and why people are going crazy because they love fluoride. I guess they love fluoride. Big Dick says, yeah, you said it wouldn't. Yeah, you said it. It wouldn't let me say it, though. Okay. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. In any event, my friends, make sure you follow Mrs. L at Lynn's Warriors. Make sure you follow our other sister channel at Lionel Illegal. And also make sure you are continue to maintain, I should say, your status here at Lionel Nation. Think often, think for long periods of time, and think deeply. It won't hurt you. It's good for you. Have a great day. See you later. Don't forget the monkey's dead. The show's over. Sue you. Dad.